how many of you guys do stuff with AppSumo? Any of you buy things? You never buy
I've
things?
kind of purged myself of it, but I have in the past been
I
seduced by the joys that is AppSumo.
I try to be very careful now, but I have gotten some really good tools that I use.
Explain what AppSumo is for everybody here.
So AppSumo is, in a nutshell, what they do is they bring some awareness to various software tools, maybe software as a service type tools. And what they do is these guys are sometimes normally starting up, but they want to get some cash into their business. So they offer lifetime deals on certain things that a lot of times would normally cost, once they develop the tool, $50 a month, $100 a month, or whatever. But in order to get some cash, to get some clients, and maybe to upsell us later, they give you lifetime deals on some of this early developing software. Other times it's not as early. They'll bring people back, but most of the time it's like to bring a big base of people to help these guys get some cash. Um,
And to get users so they can test and feature
yeah,
ideas and stuff like that. Yeah.
yeah. And so they have a area on the site where you can ask questions, and then they have people review it, and it's pretty good overall. But when you buy stuff, it's kind of hit and miss on what you get. But it's like one of our task management solution, Nifty, we got on there. And otherwise, we'd be paying like $100 a month or something. We don't pay anything right now, which is cool. So it saves us overall, I think. Um,
Except for we don't talk about all the AppSumos we've purchased and never done anything with.
yeah, I would.
Because some of that's the problem when you're introduced to this is you're like, oh, $50, I'd spend $50 for that. And you do it and you never ever use the tool ever again.
That's right. Or you try it out and you're like, well, I believe in these people. I think they're going to develop it, and then and then they never do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so it depends. It's not for everybody.
Right.
So related to that, then, is there's always new tools out there, and every now and then they will have an analytics solution that you can purchase.
Yeah.
And so the idea is that, well, maybe you do it in addition to, or you can replace Google Analytics. So my question is, what does everybody feel are the criteria that you'd want to use, and when choosing maybe a different analytics solution for a client site?
Is there a problem that you're trying to solve that you feel that analytics doesn't do that would make you want to use a different solution?
We're having a lot of problems with it tracking e-commerce sales and stuff. It's just good GA4 is just not accurate at all. We
Okay.
used to be pretty accurate with UA. GA4, I mean, the sales that it shows in there is like $50,000 when the real sales are $10,000. And I mean, that's one aspect of it. The other thing I guess would be is maybe, I don't know, maybe the tool gives it a little bit more simplicity. You could say it's a check against Google Analytics. Given how important it is it maybe wise to have a backup on the site? I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, with the first issue that you've mentioned about inaccuracy of conclusions, I think that is if that's the case, then that is a serious problem because that's the real value of any analytics is knowing the outcome, whether that's number of leads or number of sales. So, the first thing I would just check, unless you're using a pre-prepared cart that supports Google Analytics, is just make sure you're actually sending the data to Google Analytics correctly because it does take some effort.
Oh yeah, and that's easier said than done. I
Right. If
spent
you have,
hours on it. Brian has spent hours on it,
right.
and it's like it's just not
Right. Well, and
straightforward.
remember, if this is the same issue we've talked about in the past, at one point Brian had to custom do some stuff, and that's before WooCommerce supported GA4. And it might be worth looking at the default GA4 system for WooCommerce because that might be more accurate. But I will say that
Mm,
GA4 is built on sample. And so in the reports, they're always sampled because they're designed to get you most of the
true.
way there. And what they're doing is accounting for missing data. So if this also has something like some sort of cookie policy or cookie opt-in on it,
Yeah, we don't right now.
okay. And you know my feeling about the fact that there's a big economy of people selling those that they don't really need to sell those cookie platforms for many people, but for many websites. But that could affect it too. But as people get more privacy conscious, they could enable it themselves, and the data is not simply being sent into any analytics product, let alone Google Analytics.
Yeah.
Right. So then Google Analytics has the advantage over any other analytics product in that they're able to use machine learning to make some projections, whereas a smaller analytics project would not be able to have any insight into conclusions
That and
from,
that's a really good point. I think that's
right.
a really good point.
But so the other thing and on the same topic, like the whole point of analytics is, did it make any money for you? Whether that's a sale or a lead, we got to track that. And most analytics products I've seen, including the one you had sent in this original thing that you sent me earlier, has no means to track that.
Yeah.
So it's only about, hey, how many visitors and what pages they might have visited, but it's not about, did we actually get a lead or did we actually get a sale? So it's really more about monitoring users in the site, not the conclusion of that user actually accomplishing what we want them to do, which is give our clients business. And without that feature, I'd suggest most analytics is just noise.
Mm, yeah.
You know, what do this is kind of the same thing as I've waxed eloquent about this so many times, but it's like number of pages on site as a metric to judge the success. Stupid metric, because what if that means someone's angrily looking and you have a large number of pages on site because people aren't finding what they're looking for and they're really mad. It
Right.
doesn't mean it's a good thing that people bounce rate is another thing that's a terrible metric because maybe maybe it was a successful visit, but based on your lack of analytics, you don't know.
Right.
So what people do is they resort to these pages on site, amount of time on site, bounce rate metrics when they don't have something like, did we get a customer? Did we
Yeah.
get a sale? And that's what most of these third-party upstart analytics programs, they can't tell anything. So they just give data that's just like, yeah, you got a bunch of visitors. Okay. Did any of them become customers? I don't know, but you got a lot of them. I can tell you where they came from. Okay, that's getting there. Did any of them become customers? But they came. Okay, still not helpful, right? And so without that conversion data, I'd suggest most analytics tools, with any analytics tool that can't tell you that something was accomplished